live. Hi everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful and restful morning. My morning is going fairly well, and so let's get into it. So tonight or this morning, I want to talk to you about starting fresh or starting over when you suffered a loss. And this loss can be anything, but I like to incorporate my personal experiences in my conversations with you all. So I will just talk about the losses that I have experienced. One of the major, and I'm probably making too much noise, one of the major losses that I experienced in life was in terms of my career when I initially became sick. If you don't know, as many of you, especially if you're watching my videos, um, then you know that I manage two mental health conditions. And on the initial onset of bipolar disorder, I had to stop working. I was a mental health therapist in my home state, and I had to stop working. And what that meant for me was, I couldn't see clients anymore. And that's specifically what I had gone to school to do. And so I had to stop doing what I thought I was called to do and what meant so much to me in far as far as giving back to my community and finding my professional identity. And so it hurt a lot that I had to let that go, but a lot of other things happened as well. I had to stop working, which means I couldn't live by myself. It wasn't really safe for me to live by myself because my thoughts were all over the place. And I was so symptomatic that I really needed support to be able to function. And so, I had to move back home. And so that means I lost my ability to live by myself. And then I couldn't take care of my daughter. And so my daughter had to go live with her father. And when she was 4, she had to go live with her father. And so I was experiencing not only, you know, what happened with the illness, I was experiencing all the things that happened afterwards. I always try to, the best way that I can describe it to people is that you have to look at the things in terms of my life as in terms of my life as me going to the hospital was like everything that led up was like the bad weather that led up to a tornado, and then everything that happened afterwards was like the aftermath that was left. And if you've ever been in severe weather like I have growing up in the deep south, then you know that a tornado may be on the ground for only a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes, but the devastation that it leaves can take years, sometimes years to repair. And so that is somewhat what my life was like. It was years to repair. And so at the in the initial and excuse me in the beginning, I really wasn't in a position emotionally where I felt like I could start over, because it was back to back blows, and I was really really tired. um I was extremely emotionally tired, And so what I had to do, first things first, was really rest. So the first thing I had to do when I was emotionally tired was rest. Because you can try to start over um as much as you want, but you're going to exhaust yourself emotionally if you are not caring for yourself. So the very first thing you have to do is ensure that you are caring for yourself, and whatever that means for you. If it means that you're spending more time with friends and family, if it means you're seeking professional help, if it means that you're focusing on art and music or some activity, whatever it is, the very first thing that you have to do is care for yourself, because to you have to have the energy to be able to do the work that's coming up ahead. And I think one thing that people fail to realize is that when you're starting over, it's work. It. Well, I don't think people fail to realize. I think people fail to underestimate how much work it is. And re-establishing yourself, and it's not just re-establishing yourself in obtaining things. For me, I had to acknowledge that I lost my self confidence. So that's number two. I had to acknowledge what I was actually dealing with and that I had lost my self confidence. The reason behind losing my self confidence for me really didn't matter at that point, because I needed to say I lost my excuse me, I lost my self confidence, and I need to figure out a way to not move forward, but to move. When you lose your self confidence, you can stop and get stuck. And I remember that after trying to go back to work twice and having a psychiatrist tell me that I couldn't do this anymore, my self confidence went completely out the window. And so, I had to, I sat. I sat for a long time, and I was taking care of myself, but I also wasn't moving. So you can take care of yourself, but to a point, we can't get comfortable to where to where we're not moving. And so I actually had an aha moment. I had a friend at the time who was going through some things as well, and they would come to my house, every day. Like, that was a part of their taking care of themselves. They wouldn't stay at home by themselves. They would call me and they would come over. And they asked me, they were like, "What are you going to do? What's the next step?" And I was like, I didn't have an answer for that. And they told me what they were doing. And I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, maybe I can find something for myself. And this person had left a magazine, not a newspaper at my house. And I looked at the back of the newspaper and I saw an opportunity for a crisis counselor. And that I had to be trained for like 4 weeks, not 4 weeks, but for 4 months before I could start. Now I'm sitting here like, oh, I have a license, or, I was a licensed therapist. What am I doing going under training for 4 months? But I said, this is it. This is something that I want to do. I want to help people who are in crisis, because as a person who had been through a crisis who felt like they were in crisis mode for the past 3 years, previously, this was like the avenue that I needed to get myself moving. And so when you are acknowledging that you lost your confidence, you also need to look for ways and cues from the universe or whoever your higher being is that will pour back into your confidence. And you'll know it. Like, when I saw this ad in this paper, I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. And I had no way of I had no way of getting back and forth or doing that, but it all worked out. And I had a friend who would come pick me up every week and take me to training every week. And I did that until, I was able to get back, and doing those little things started to, rebuild who I was. And so number three is, especially this is in terms of loss. This is not in terms of loss or grief of a loved one, but in terms of loss of feeling like you've lost yourself, um, or after losing a job, or after losing direction, or feeling like you're losing direction in life. What I did is, the third thing I had to do was I had to remember who I was. And YouTube actually helped me with that. Even though behind the scenes, when I was a natural hair blogger, I was still dealing with a lot of depression and some of my smiles were fake. But doing those videos allowed me to tap into my creative side. And it allowed me to tap into the part of me that enjoyed, putting things together and making things work. And so sitting in front of a camera was something that came easy to me because I had always been a speaker. And so, it came through and reminded me of, LaQuanda, you do have certain gifts about yourself, which I now identify as my absolutes. And, my absolutes that no one can take away from me are I am a great speaker. I am a powerful writer that can connect with people's emotions. And I'm very creative when it comes to things. And so when you remember who you are, and you can use the things that you've done in the past to help remember who you are, then that is just a little extra push that gets you going. Because if you think about it, when you stop, think about being on roller skates. You can stand there, but at some point, something has to happen to give you a little push. And then once you get that little push, you begin to figure out little ways to build momentum in your life. And that is the same, that's the same way. It's like you figure out little ways to build momentum in life. And so doing YouTube videos and talking about mental health on YouTube, and then having people reach out to me and say, hey, can you talk about mental health here? I go out and I would go out and get requests from other from people out of state, and it's like, hey, I'm doing this about mental health. I would hop in a car and drive to another state to do that. And so all of these things began to build up until I actually went back to working at a psychiatric hospital. And so once I once I took care of myself, acknowledged that I had lost my confidence and began to rebuild my confidence, the third thing I did was what was it? I'm sitting up here. The third thing I did was remind myself of who I was. The fourth thing I did was I had to learn to trust myself again. You have to learn how to trust yourself again when you're starting over after a loss. When it comes in terms of career and professional development or relationships or anything like that, you have to trust yourself again. And you have to trust that you have the ability to make good decisions. I trust that I have the ability to make good decisions. My good decision making is not based upon someone else's actions, negative or flawed actions towards me. I am a good decision maker, regardless of the actions of others. And so I have to tell myself, you are a good decision maker. Sometimes, you may not catch everything, but you make good sound decisions based upon reason and not just an emotional reaction. And, when you remind yourself of those things, you're trusting who you are and trusting in your abilities, you begin to trust yourself again. And so the fifth thing I had to do is I had to start taking chances on myself. um, I had to put myself out there. Sometimes I get a little frustrated because I was like, oh, I want people to see me. I want people to hear me. I want to feel like this work that I'm doing or these conversations that I'm having matters to someone. But then I was like, you know what? I have to put myself out there in terms of what is it that you really want. And what I really, really wanted was for the person who felt like me, that no one heard their voice, no one really sees what they are doing. I wanted to give that person an opportunity to share their work and share their stories. And so that's why you had the Emotional Detox Life Speaks. And that's why I'm in the third season. Third season, I can't believe that. I'm in the third season of the live stream wellness show. And we've already had 18 episodes. No, 19 episodes. And so it's about, okay, I'm putting myself out there not to promote me, but I'm putting myself out there to allow and create opportunities for other people to share who they are. And let me say, when you have that mindset of you're going to build something to create opportunities for other people, be prepared to go in it for the long haul, because it is time consuming, emotional consuming. It is can be lonely work at time, and it is a lot of work because you are the driving force of it. And I always like to say, whoever, the saying is like, be who you always wanted a person to be in your life. That's just paraphrasing it. And it's like I wanted someone to give me opportunities, and I wanted someone to offer me a platform to share my story, and I've had those. And so a part of the work that I do now isn't just about me, it's about creating opportunities for other women and for other individuals to come and share their stories. Like, that's why Healing Black Women exists. That's why, the live stream wellness show exists, because these are things that I developed to create opportunities for other people. And what I found is, and this is I think this is number 6, number 5 or number 6, I can't remember, I lost track. But the thing is, like, you have to, when you're starting over and you're trying to get that momentum in life so you can push off like you're on skates, you have to connect with something that makes you happy. And for me, I had to learn how to connect my shape. I had to learn how to connect with things that make me happy. And, hearing people's story and, seeing the work that people do, it's hard work to make these things happen, because, for some people, they think, all right, YouTube is just about turning on a camera and talking in front of it, and that's it. It's like, no, it's not. There is a lot of planning to go. Even when I come in here and, and I just hitting on live stream, there's a lot of planning that goes in between what I'm going to discuss. Is this appropriate? What am I going to title it initially? Am I going to rename it? I got to go do the graphics for this. Do I want to really market, these videos? How do I want to market them? Am I going to push them to social media? So it's like a lot of background things that take place. But you have to connect with the things that are making you happy. And so, if you're starting over, and it can be hard and it can be painful and it can be something that may make you feel like a failure at times. I look at it, and I tell you what, I've looked at it as an opportunity to do amazing things. And and to really be creative and bring and build something up from the ground up. And that's what excites me, especially right now. It truly excites me to have the ability to build things, or have the opportunity to build things from the ground up. Um, and I would say, and even though I should have put this one ahead of time, the last thing that you have to do in terms of and career relationships, however you want to experience, and um, we're talking about loss outside of grief. That's a different type of loss. Um, but grief from losing a loved one or someone close to you. Um, you have to deal with those emotions around feeling a failure. I did a video about how to deal with failure, um, because it happens. And there's been many, many times in my life where I felt like I failed. And, I had to learn how to deal and process that. And so, you're probably in the area where you're caring for yourself, if you're seeking professional help, that is a great time to deal with those emotions, with regards to feeling like a failure. I felt that way, and not too long ago. But you learn how to move, and I am grateful and thankful that I've learned how to move in this space. Um, because I know when it comes to, some of the things that I've been through, and people like me who've been through similar things, not everyone is able to recover to a certain place or a certain point. Um, and so I don't take it for granted that I've been able to recover and to start over and to rebuild, um, and really have an opportunity to share, not just my life, but my life lessons, with everyone. So that's all I wanted to time in tonight. I am getting ready to go prepare some things for skating. If you haven't or you don't follow me on Instagram at Laquanda, I have started skating again, and so I am learning like some techniques because I want to do outdoor skating, versus indoor, because it's just more accessible. For some reason, where I live, well, it's not for some reason. I know the reason why. Where I live, the areas that I live in have nothing but have majority ice rinks, and then when you go across the state line to other neighborhoods, that's where the skating rinks are. So there like aren't any um skating rinks on my side of where I live. There are only ice rinks, and so I have to go to another state, which isn't far away because I'm close to the state line. But I have to travel to another area to in order to go to a skating rink, because all of the rinks around here are for ice skaters. Um, but that's neither here nor there. You can follow me on Instagram at Laquanda if you want. Um, but be sure to check out the website. I'm going to be putting up some articles there again this week, because I needed to rest my brain from reading and writing so much. Because I'm also the editor of healingblackwomen.com, so I edit and read articles from our many contributors there. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have amazing Saturdays. I will be on tonight at 9 o'clock for Sex Saturdays, and I have a good discussion to have with everyone. So I look forward to you and see you in a couple of hours. Enjoy your day. Peace.